I guess let's start off by talking about Senate Bill 27, the one that sort of limits the governor's ability to restrict our constitutional rights. I hear there was some sort of letter that he sent after that bill's passage.
Yes. So, and what that bill originally did was say this, that if the governor is going to call an emergency, we want to make sure that the emergency is very well defined and it doesn't step on the Constitution in any way. And it is my job up here to defend the Constitution to the best of my ability. And even though this was passed originally, not Bill 27, but the emergency powers to the governor in the year 2000, it wasn't really called up where any governor had to use it until the COVID hit. Once COVID hit, it's been used several different times, and we want to make sure that the parameters are firmly set for any governor in the future. And that's what this did. It just said the governor can call the emergency, but he cannot suspend the Constitution in any way. So he sent us a letter. And the letter was basically saying he's concerned that we're taking this power or authority away from him. We never believed he had that power and authority to start with, so I'm not sure why the disconnect is of he would be concerned that we're taking it away or limiting it. Because no way should we ever limit our Constitution. That is for the people. That is to protect the people from government. And that's what this bill did, is it protected people from government, no matter what the circumstances are.
And I think also in the letter he mentioned that it was just kind of reiterating what was already in the oath of office. So if that's the case, why do you think there would be a problem with reiterating what's in the oath of office?
And that is something that, in fact, when I presented the bill, I read part of our oath of office saying that we're going to defend the Constitution. So I didn't see the pushback. However, I will tell you that because we have three branches of government, each branch is supposed to zealously protect its own rights and authority against the infringement on the other two. And so part of the pushback, I think, could have been the executive branch just saying, hey, anytime somebody's trying to limit my authority or executive powers, I'm going to give a pushback more because it's what I'm supposed to do rather than the cause. In this case, the cause was correct, and we legislatively got it passed.
Well, speaking of big legislative achievements this year, what do you feel like your biggest achievements have been so far during 2025's session?
So I think that is one of them. Anytime that we're standing up for the Constitution, that we can do that. There's several that we've been working on. Another one that it did not go through, and I think I got to find a way to relook at that situation, is we had something where we're limiting the state veterinarian from going on somebody's property. And they have the right to go on somebody's property and give vaccinations and such, and there's got to be protection for our animals and for like the bird flu and swine flu and so forth. But I don't think that they have the right to do that unless people are fairly compensated, and I don't think that an unelected bureaucrat should be the one making that decision. I think that they need to have somebody in elected office before that would be allowed. And if it's an emergency, the governor could call an emergency order for that. So that's one of the things we didn't get through that we're still working on. Some of the other things that we did get through is anytime that we're standing up for the Constitution, I feel that's been a good thing, and defending people's rights. So we're working on that. One thing that I'm pretty happy with that's going to go through today, I'm working with House or Senate Bill 30, and now that is a piece of legislation that I'm very thrilled with to help our law enforcement. And what's happened in here, if I got to walk a line that we do not get too close to the First Amendment. And that is going to be very, very important, that when this bill originally came out, I didn't even like it myself until the amendments came. We cannot cut somebody's rights to say, even if I don't like what they're saying, I've got to make sure that their right to say it is defended. But they can't use their First Amendment right to intimidate or to try and coerce somebody to do something that is against their rights. So we have to be very, very careful on how we're wording it, what we're doing. So we've redrafted that bill with the amendments to make sure that we stay within the constitutionality of what what the defense of the First Amendment is. But what originally this means is this: there's been a lot of people that are down and they hate another group. They literally will say, in this case, it was the Jewish population, and there's some people that'll be saying, literally, we want to destroy the Jews, and they say from Palestine to the sea, we want to get rid of absolutely everything. Well, I stand for the Israeli nation, and I believe that that is a biblical thing that I want to continue to support. But here in Nashville, we had some people that were here with hate groups, and they had the right to literally putting signs on the interstates. They were blocking the interstates. They were going to synagogues, and they were throwing things at the synagogues and such. Now, I'm not trying to say that littering is against the law. It already is. But on the other hand, if you take a gas can and you take a stick and a rag and you put that in front of somebody's house, that's not just littering. That is intentionally trying to intimidate somebody. And I want to make sure no matter who it is, they got the right to protest, but they don't have the right to intimidate somebody else. So we're going to be having that on the floor tonight. We did one other thing, and it has to do with law enforcement. So we met with law enforcement, we met with the DA, and we said, why can't we arrest different people? What is this looking like? And what can we do as an as a state to say what is the right balance? And one of the things that came up with as law enforcement is in actively like arresting somebody. They want to be able to have themselves filmed. They're not opposed to that. They wear body cameras, so they're not opposed to somebody filming them, somebody even yelling and shouting at them. But they are saying that, listen, if I'm actually arresting somebody, and I'm in that process right now, and I'm having them, we're putting the handcuffs on and these kind of things. And if I have people all around me, I'm also watching to see if they have a friend. Are they pulling out a knife? Are they pulling out a gun themselves? And it's hard to focus on exactly what they're doing. And they're saying, while we're doing that, can we just have a little bit of a buffer zone? Other states have done this, and we're saying, can we just have 25 feet? You can still zoom in and film anything you're doing, but while we're actively making that arrest, or we're doing it, can we have that little bit of protection? As soon as it's over, you can come back and protest. You can film everything. You can do everything. You can still film from that little circle, but law enforcement said that that would give them a little bit more protection and help bring some peace and calm to the areas as well. So we did put that in that Senate Bill 30 as well.
Okay, and has that already passed in the House, or?
Well, it's going through tonight in the Senate, and so I believe it's going to be passing in the House in the next session or two. I don't know if it's on their calendar today or if it's on their calendar later on this week.
Okay.
But we're coming to an end, and everything's going to be passed very, very shortly. Now, there was one other bill that was very, very controversial that's in the House tonight, and it barely passed the Senate. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of my friends are very disappointed in a vote that I took. It has to say this, is if you have people here that are, and we can use different terms, I'm going to say undocumented, but they're here illegally. They are not supposed to be here. They broke into our country, and they've either overstayed their welcome, their visas, but they are not having the legal citizenship that they should be here. I want to make sure that we're very, very aggressively addressing that issue. We want to ask them to leave. We want to make Tennessee the most demagnetized state as we can for that. But the bill came up, and it said one way we could address that is with educating the kids. And it said, if we withhold funding or we charge anybody that is not here legally, and we charge them to go to the public school, that would make us a state where people wouldn't want to come if you're here illegally. And I can totally, absolutely understand that reasoning. And there was a Supreme Court decision that even said that we're supposed to do it. But that was a very narrow decision. It was a 5-4 decision. And I think with the new courts, it's going to be overturned if this goes that far. But I had to just tell you, in my heart, I couldn't vote against the kids. It wasn't the kids' fault. They're here because of what their parents did or their guardians did. It wasn't because of what they did. And I don't think that it is my place at this point to tell a 4th grader, 5th grader, whatever, that I'm going to withhold the education from you because of what your parents did. I don't want them to be in a situation where the parents are here. I want them to go home and come into this country legally. I want them to take the kids, come back correctly. And I'm going to do everything I can to do that. I think some of the bills I'm filing next year is going to be saying, how many illegals do we have in jails now? How many people are on any kind of food stamps, any kind of documentation that I can say that they're on any kind of assistance? Are we giving any housing assistance? What's happened to those that came through like the Catholic Charities? Who's documenting there? Is there any kind of housing that we're giving? And I want to make sure we go after that. I want to go after the E-Verify, that if an employer is employing somebody and they have not done their due diligence, I want to make them accountable and I want to have a fine for them. But these are towards adults. These are not towards the kids. So I just can understand. I can so understand my conservative friends that feel that we need to do it at every single case and every single area. I get that argument. I could almost be there. But in this case, this bill specifically had to do with educating children, and I just couldn't get to taking it on the kids at this point. But the reasoning was solid. What they're trying to do is to make this a state that they don't want to come in if they're illegal. I get that, and I'm all for it.
And then what, if anything, I mean, you seem to be a pretty positive guy, but is there anything that was a disappointment this year for you?
Well, when I'm going to say disappointment, most of the bills that we went through made it. I can say I didn't get this bill or that bill. Yeah. But I think that if we could slow down just a little bit, I think that there's people that would like to testify more in some of our committees, that even if they're here protesting, even if I don't want to hear it, I think the fact that we would listen to what somebody the other side has to say, where they can feel I had my say, I had my chance to sway somebody, is going to be a lot more comfortable for people to feel that they've got confidence in the government. But when we shut them out, or we limit them to, you can only talk for 1 minute or 2 minutes, it is very hard to sit down and try and make an argument of what their case is, whether they're for something or against something. And I would like to have our committees perhaps open that up a little bit more to say, you can talk, and we are here to listen. And we are here to listen. Sorry about the phone. But I think it's important to hear, even the other side. I want to hear what they have to say. So how we go through so fast in some of the committee systems, I wish we would slow down a little bit. Even if we had to say, you know what, we're going to have a committee where no votes are taken, but we're going to let people come in and testify. And maybe even if some of the members couldn't be there, I would still be there to listen to everybody who wanted to testify, who wanted to share those opinions with me. And we could go a little bit deeper to find out and ask more questions. There was a couple times in committee that I felt I didn't have time to ask questions, or the questions I were asking, we didn't have time to actually get all the answers we needed to. And that part is frustrating for me. When we go through the budget hearings, I am not here to rubber stamp something. If we're going through appointments, I don't want to just say, hey, so-and-so appointed so-and-so, and we're just going to elect them, and because we're trusting somebody else to do the vetting. We got in trouble doing that in the past, and I think we should take more time to do that. So that is a disappointment. It's the speed we go through.
And so which Senate committees do you sit on, and like how much time have people been allowed for testimony this year?
So I actually sit on transportation. I also sit on ag and energy, and then I sit on education. When we're on a committee, and if we've been in there, and if we have so many bills, and if we have so many bills that I cannot tell you that we've actually had a chance to vet them and read them and understand the amendments that are going through, it is very, very, very hard for us to say we're making good, positive votes. The phones are going crazy. You know that we are literally here in session.
Senator Pody's a busy, busy man. A lot of people want to talk to.
And I want to talk to them as well. I want them to be very comfortable. And we always try and make time for somebody to come in and sit down and talk to me. I want to be the one where they'll say, you know what, I may or may not agree with him, but he will sit down and talk.
Oh, that's perfect. Unless you have anything else to add, I think we've got plenty.
All right. So there is one other thing.
Okay.
And it is groups like you that I think is important. Even when you call people like me out, it's important that you're down here and getting this word for word and talking to the people and talking to the legislators and sharing their view. People read what you say. They look online. Your articles are important. And I read these as well. And other legislators do as well. It's not just getting it on the big networks. It is literally the people that are here in Tennessee saying, what's going on in Tennessee politics? So my hat's off to you. And I'm just going to tell you, everybody, this group has not always been positive with me, but please support them. Let them out here. Send your funds to them. They're holding everybody accountable. It makes a difference.
You're too sweet. Well, thank you, and thank you for everything you do.
Absolutely.